you find that people not only like his music, they like his artistic take on music, his visual sense, his ability to go into movies, into art. He's a painter. And when you talk to David Bowie, you find out that he's probably one of the most fascinating people that you'd like to meet.
Wow.
On the other hand,
I always loved David Bowie.
Yeah.
What an incredible voice, you know that.
I know that great huge, that, you know, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And of course he had a lot of influences, but other people are very fixated, and they're very sort of, like Billy Joel is a guy who grew up in Long Island.
Yep.
And he's very much a Long Island guy. You know, he's
South
like, he
Shore.
hangs out with his guys, his buddies, and my buddy and I play with my buddy, the drummer, and I've been with these guys since high school, and you know, he has a motorcycle, rides a motorcycle, likes to hang out. So you sense the persona, and it's often very much like it. Now Madonna, you know, she, again, we spoke, when I worked with her in with the Like a Virgin album, and I sang on Material Girl,
yes,
she was just learning how to be and desiring to be a pop star.
Okay.
So as we've seen later, she's been an internationally famous star in many respects, a film star, fashion star.
Yes.
But these are things that came later. When I worked with her, she was paying a lot of attention to the producer, and the musicians, and we who sang with her. We would sing around the mic with her, and we would almost instruct her, this is what you have to do, this is what you do. Get close to the mic, bring your voice up, take a deep breath. And we would actually be instructing her. Now you couldn't picture doing that to Madonna.
Yeah,
because she's now like, I am everything, I know the world, I have been there, I have done this, I know the whole world. You know, I am the top performer, you know. I've been a performer for 30 years, I have done this, I have done that, books written about me, papers written about me, everything. So, but when I met her, she was really pretty much a pop star.
She was trying to launch, really. And
she was just beginning to launch. Yeah, she really didn't have that persona that she. So that grows. Sometimes it grows, and with David it grew. And yet you'll find now with David, he's not really that involved in music. Matter of fact, I went into New York the other night and saw a show. There's a what's called the Highline Festival. There's an elevated track on the west side of Manhattan, which is no longer used, and it's sort of turned into a park. And now Mayor Bloomberg wants to turn it into a real park.
Wow.
He wants to make it protected. Right now it just became sort of grasses and weeds and trees. And it was a beautiful experience for photographers to go up there and just take a picture of the completely pristine, what happens to a railroad track 20, 30, 40 years after it's been used.
Wow.
Now they want to develop it, and they want to turn it into a park. So anyway, so David Bowie now is part of trying to make this happen. So he's multifaceted.
He has a sense of community, a sense of trying to make the world better.
Very much so. So he's very wide open to a lot of these things. Other artists, they're not. They're just not. They're pretty much fixated on, I want to make a pop record, I want to do this is how I'm going to think it sound, I get these musicians, I want to make some money, and I just want to move to the next record. So, you can, but it's pretty much obvious to the observer from outside or from inside that's pretty much what you see is what you get. Okay. I find that to be true. What you see is what you get.
On that level.
Yes, on that level.
Because to be that great, you really have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just mediocre, isn't it? You're just copying somebody else.
Yeah.
That's
and some people handle fame well, and some people don't handle it well. You know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. And you told me a little bit about your spirituality, your faith, how that's helped you really hang in there and be ultimately successful for the long run.
Well, what happens is that when you're asked to do a job, you have to give of yourself completely and wholly, and you have to feel that you're protected and that your creator has given you the talent and wants you to use it and wants you to bring it out from the depths of your soul, and that you're not going to be ridiculed for it, and that you're going to be rewarded for it. I mean, not rewarded monetarily, no, spiritually. And you have to connect with people, and you have to want to give people everything that they want and more. And you have to, when you're working, whether it's a producer with a commercial or on a record, you have to say, let me try this. Let me give you something else. Let me try to do, how does this sound? Let me try to give you this. Let me try to do this. And they'll say, listen, I don't want to waste your voice. I don't want to give you, no, my voice is fine. Let's do it again. And you want to get perfection.
To be assertive, yeah.
You strive for that, and you have to have some inner strength, and you have to have a vision beyond.
Because you're not afraid of any person, really. I mean,
no.
These are just people that are like you. They put their pants on with two legs.
That's
so
because
you got God on your side. I mean, you're coming from the spirit of God, from your faith and everything.
Yeah, and I see these people, and when you open up to them, they feel comfortable with you. But if you come on with an attitude, then suddenly it's like attitudes are banging against each other. Like, well, I'm hipper than you are. I know more than you do. I've played more countries than you have. I've sold more records than you have. And this, no, you have to cool that down.
Nothing great happens from that spirit.
No. Yeah. Nothing happens from that place. Yeah, nothing. It's just it's very destructive and very shallow, very shallow. and you immediately want to turn away from that. You know.
Now you've steered clear of the drugs. You've steered clear of a lot of the negative side of the industry. You were telling me about it. Let's hear that story.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like a lot of times, the real people are the people who are actually working in the community. I mean, in your crew, the people who are fixing your equipment, the people who are giving you your mics, the people who are standing there and supporting you. It's everyone supporting you, and then helping you to rehearse and teaching you parts and making you learn your craft. And then you start to appreciate those people. And for the people who simply want to enjoy their stardom or want to enjoy fame or gain notoriety, you suddenly find that they're very shallow, and they're not bright people. They're not enlightened. They're not conscious. They're just not.
As good
and you want to steer away from that.
As good as they may be, you know, like
it's talent. Yeah, they may have a lot of
it
talent.
It could be like a setting sun. You know, it's very brilliant for a little while.
Yeah, they may have a lot of talent, and I know many people who've kind of just been come into the business and been chewed up and spit out, and because of that, and they've not had. You have to have a lot of inner strength, and you have to see it, and you can't treat people. You cannot treat people like they're below you, and you cannot treat people like they don't understand you, and that like, don't bother me. I look what I've done. Look what I've sung with. Look what I've done with.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You want to share it with people. You must say, they'll say, how was so and so? How was so and so? Well, let me tell you how that was.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how that concert came through. Let me tell you a secret about that. Let me tell you how this actually came together. Let me tell you how Billy Joel wrote that song.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that he was sitting in the studio that night and working over the lyrics, and he's sitting there. Let me see, how can I? And he will actually do that. He will actually at the last minute write the lyrics, and that's nice to know. That means you can do it, or he can do it, or anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It means people say, well, you're just sitting down there writing the lyrics about something you know and you experience, so why can't I do that?
Don't make such a divide. You know, it's the same species of human beings.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
We're
so connected. Everyone is so connected, and you can do what you really want to do, and you can. But the more you give, and with a more passion, and the more you involve yourself in your work, it feels so wonderful.
Now, how do you? The obvious question is, how do you find spirituality in the Kool-Aid Man?
You know what I think is when you're thinking about the Kool-Aid Man, you're thinking about how it means, what he means to so many kids, because he's a lovable, big, happy cartoon character.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing the sessions, when they say, well, here's the line, they say, and they'll instruct me, they say, well, we want you to feel big and happy and low and just something like that. So I'll say, oh yeah. And so try to get lower. Oh yeah. And so they'll ask you, the producers will ask me to do it all a lot of different ways. You know, do it high, do it low, do it more gravel in your voice, you know. Now make it cleaner. Now be friendlier, you know. Now be happier. So they ask you to do a lot of different ways, and then they end up picking that, you know, in post-production.
They stretching you this way, stretching you that way.
Yeah, but it feels good to stretch. Because what if you went in there and you did it a couple ways? And I know there are artists, and I'm not saying, I won't mention names, but artists will come in to a session. They'll say, this is what we need you to do. Okay, and they will say, they'll perform for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, and they'll say, okay, I've given you what you need. I'm leaving now. You say, wait a minute, I invited you here because I wanted to stretch with you. I wanted to try. And we don't quite have enough yet.
Yeah.
We haven't gone there. We haven't gotten there yet. You know, it's like if you warm up for a football game or a soccer game or baseball, you've got to stretch. You got to stretch for a while and get in that game, and you got to sweat, and you got to get hurt sometimes, and you got to try, and that makes you the better player.
Right.
But if you just come in and just give them a little bit off the top, say, oh, I've had enough, I'm tired, you know, I know you have what you have, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. That's all I can. And people are displeased. I know producers who say, we invited such and such in here, we expected this, and they came in here and we're here for 10 minutes, and then they left. Can you believe the audacity?
Yes.
And in many cases, they give them good sums of money, and they're elevating to this status. They're saying, we're putting your name on posters, we're putting your name on this, we're putting you on the television. You know, you should. And it's almost as though it's an unequal equation. The more you elevate a person, they start thinking, well, maybe I am special. Maybe I am special.
And the worse they get.
And the worse it gets. so I try.
It's always that way, isn't it? When you're coming to it honest and innocent and you really want to give, that you come up with the great stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when it comes to all these other things, the ego, when the ego gets involved, then it's not great anymore.
No.
You might get paid for it. You might make a living.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You don't develop. You don't grow spiritually. You know, I try to come into it with that respect. You know, that aspect.
So the spirituality is working with the people that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also, I hear you talking about that big red Kool-Aid Man that means something delightful to children. It's joyous.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually have people writing me, I have a website, and people actually, and I don't quite know how they, I mean, through channel by channel by channel, they'll write, they say, hello, Mr. Sims. I have always loved to watch the Kool-Aid Man. I think your voice is wonderful. I think you bring such joy and happiness to it. Would you mind giving me a signed, autographed picture? And so if you want, I'll send you a self-addressed. And I said, don't give me an envelope. And I write him an email back, of course I will. And so I'll get a headshot, and I'll sign, I'll say, oh yeah, from the Kool-Aid Man, and happy, like Jack. Here, Jack, dear Jack, oh yeah, from the Kool-Aid Man, and I'll sign it and I'll send it off to him. But they get a lot of pleasure from that. So I've had dozens of people write for a picture of the Kool-Aid Man, a signed picture, because it makes them happy. They get that feeling has come across.
Okay.
It's somehow coming across.
Now, even when you've made it as you have, and you've really been working in this field for some time,